Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Cosmic Consciousness with Kassia. On this channel, we discuss all aspects of the ascension process. And today we're going to be discussing the top false light teachings that you are going to come across as you are perusing the web, as you are looking up different people, watching different videos, reading different books. A lot of spiritual gurus, if you will, spiritual masters, people who claim or take ownership of these titles, people who have YouTube channels, they have Rumble channels, right? They have all the social media platforms, they write books, some of them host seminars. They're teaching a lot of this stuff. And when we use the term false light, what we are referring to is something that carries an aspect of truth within it, but is also distorted in order to allow for infringement upon your being, in order to keep you in density. As we begin to awaken, we begin very attracted to spiritual knowledge. And the first thing that we do, that we have been taught, right, is to look outside of ourselves for this information, not knowing and understanding that it's all truly available to us, accessible from within, right? But originally we look without for it. And so as we are taking in all of this spiritual information, right, like a sponge, really, we're taking in a lot that is not in resonance. It vibrates at a certain frequency that is very close to truth because it is embedded with truths. But there is a lie disguised within that, and that lie is very powerful. So this is one of the ways that those who are awakening become ensnared or remain ensnared in the density in these traps, right? It's this energy is pervasive. It influences and it permeates every aspect, or almost every aspect of our awareness of this three-dimensional matrix construct. And in other videos, we're going to get more into the three-dimensional matrix construct, what exactly it is, how we free ourselves from it. But one of the biggest ways is through what we're going to talk about in this video, by not falling into these common traps. So the first false light teaching that we're going to talk about is the teaching that we are all one. All right, we hear this spoken all the time. We all say it all the time. Everyone who's familiar with my channel knows that I have said this for a very long time. We are one. And it is a spiritual truth, right? We are one with all that is organic. We are one with source. We are all these beautiful fractals of source energy, right? Having these experiences. So in that way, yes, it is true that we are one. However, there are things within this construct that are not organic, that are no longer of source. And those beings, when we use a blanket statement like we are all one, we are stating that we are one, not only with the organic, not only with that which is a fractalization and expression of source energy, of source love light energy, but we are also saying that we're one with everything else too. And we are not one with the inorganic. We are not one with these beings who have forsaken their light, who have traded their love light for power. All right? We are not one with the artificial. And so we want to be really careful when we say this, because when we use a blanket statement like we are all one, we are inviting absolutely everything within creation to unify with us, to be one with us. We're inviting infringements. We're inviting attachments. All right. We're inviting entities. There's a whole lot of stuff that we're opening ourselves up to when we use that blanket phrase without being more specific. And so if we're looking and we're understanding this framework of we are all one, we want to understand it more in the context of I am one with all that is organic. I am one with all that is organic love light. That is a way to state that while still being very specific and not allowing in these extraneous energies. All right, we want to understand the concept of all being connected, all of creation being connected, but we want to establish our sovereignty as well. We are within a multiverse, but we are a multiverse within ourselves. All right, and right now it's very important to have clear boundaries and distinctions that prevent us from melding with these infringing beings, these infringing entities. And that brings me to false light teaching number 2. And this teaching, this goes into, we're going to go a couple places with this, because this energy is pretty pervasive, and it extends beyond just shielding. But the first part that I want to bring up about this false light teaching is the idea that shielding your energy is fear-based. And then this extends to say that acknowledging anything that is not pure, beautiful, well-intentioned, benevolent love light is fear-based. And that could not be further from the truth. In fact, not acknowledging that which is not of love is more fear-based than acknowledging that which exists and is not of pure love light. All right, it is not fear-based to acknowledge what is there, and it is not fear-based to shield. Shielding our energy is an act of self-love. All right, it is an act of sovereignty. It is setting up those firm, sovereign boundaries and barriers that state, this is my energy, and I get to decide what has access to my energy. All right. When we do not shield, we are essentially consenting to allow anything. It's kind of like the "we are all one" statement, right? We are consenting to anything and everything integrating within our energy, having access to our energy, feeding off of our energy. All right. And we of course do not want that. There are a lot of people on this channel who identify as empaths, right? And so as an empath, what is one of the first things you learn? That when you don't shield your energy, when you don't set those energetic, it's boundaries, right? Boundaries is the biggest lesson for the empath. Okay. And we understand that when we go out in public and we don't have our love light barriers, our love light shields up, we're not separating our energy and creating a bubble around our energy. We end up taking on other people's energies. All right. So it's like a very simple concept that we understand. But then when it comes to shielding ourselves from anything else, there's like this sector of this very large sector of the spiritual community that teaches that to do that is to show fear. To do that, they even go so far sometimes as to say to do that is to invite things to infringe upon you, because you're in that space of fear. And perhaps if you are shielding out of an energy of fear, there could be some truth to that. Remember, there's a little bit of truth in all these teachings. Truth and falsity sprinkled and mixed together. All right. But if you're shielding from a place of love, if you're shielding from a place of sovereignty, that is not fear-based. That is saying, this is mine, that is yours. All right. I'm not taking on what's yours. You're not taking on what's mine. All right. It is protecting our light. We are in a three-dimensional matrix construct that is being, we are in the process of liberating ourselves and freeing ourselves and separating ourselves from these energies who designed this system that we are experiencing currently that allows them to feed off of our light. All right. So when you don't shield yourself, you're essentially allowing yourself to be an all-you-can-eat buffet, is the best way that I can put it. You are allowing infringements, because remember, everything that you resonate with, you are consenting to. And so if you are listening to, and we're going to get into this a lot more later, these false light beings, these dark workers, I guess you could call them, posing as light workers, who are infringing upon so many people, some of which are aware that they're infringed upon, some of which are not. All right. Some of this is they don't even realize what they're doing. So we're going to get more into that at a later date. But for right now, let's just say you want to be really careful, because a lot more people than you would imagine are infringed upon, heavily infringed upon, and infringing upon you when you resonate with them, when you listen to their teachings, when you match that frequency, you are consenting to them, especially when you are not shielded. All right, you're allowing them right into your energy. You're allowing them access to your energy. Not just in that moment, but in any moment that they so choose in the quantum realm. All right, so you want to be really clear and really careful about that, about who and what you are allowing access to your energy. All right, and acknowledging acknowledging that these forces exist, right? That we are in an overall benevolent universe, yes, but not everything in this universe is benevolent. There are energies and entities that, like we got into a little bit, and we're going to get more into this later, right? That gave away, that separated, that severed themselves from their love light in order to have a different experience, a negatively polarized experience. All right? Who have become essentially completely artificial now, inorganic. All right, there are other energies and entities that are created from our lower vibratory emotions, from our trauma. All right, we don't want to be one with them. We don't want to allow them access to our energy. We do not want to consent to that. And acknowledging that those things exist is not fear-based. And just pretending that they don't exist, which is going to bring us into our next false light teaching, does not make them not so. Okay, turning a blind eye to the things that we don't want to believe or don't want to see does not automatically eradicate them. All right, they're still there. We're just not paying attention to them anymore, which is giving them free reign to run amok, which is essentially what we see right now in our reality. Before we get into that a little more, though, I want to also address the word not. All right, because this is another false light teaching that's coming up while we're talking about this. It is the idea that we're taught not to use the word not. Right? All the manifestation teachings that we learn tell us that the universe does not recognize the word not. And what you're thinking about, you're creating. It doesn't matter if you're saying you don't want it or you're saying you do want it. Right? You're creating it by thinking about it. And so, to an extent, that is true, right? Whatever we focus our attention and our emotion on is going to be what we create. All right? But that doesn't mean that we cannot use the word not. Right? I do not consent. Those 4 words are going to be some of the most important words that you will ever speak in this current reality that we're experiencing. I do not consent. I do not consent to any type of infringement upon any aspect of my being in this or any other time, space, dimension, or multidimensional reality. I do not consent. So important to understand this, to understand that you can say that and it is understood. Okay, so getting that out of the way and continuing to move on. Ignoring, and so this brings us back, I did write these down just so I didn't forget. This brings us back to what we got into a little bit, this false light teaching about how we have to focus on the love and the light all the time. Ooh, there we go, the love and the light. That's the last teaching that we're getting into. I'll come back to the love and the light, which is actually the love light. All right, we'll come back to that in a second. But we want to talk about this energy here. All right, this energy of only focusing on the love light, only focusing on what is good, and ignoring the rest, pretending the rest doesn't exist. Like we said, this does not negate the darkness. Think about it for a second. The cabal, these energies, which are really like the foot soldiers, this energy goes much deeper than that, and we're going to get into that in later videos, like I said. All right, but this energy, its chief purpose has been to convince people that it does not exist. What is that quote? I actually want to quote it, even though the devil is like a thing that we don't really, the devil's a made up concept. All right. However, this idea, the point of this quote is very much relevant. It says the greatest trick the devil ever played was to convince the world he didn't exist. All right. The cabal, these forces have been convincing humanity that they don't exist for a very long time. Think about the stigma still around the term conspiracy theorist. All right. Most of the collective believes and has believed for a very long time that these forces don't exist. And yet these things are still happening. Their lack of belief has not changed things. It has not prevented children from being kidnapped. It has not prevented pedophilia rings, right? It has not prevented the poisoning of our food and our water, the corrupted systems all around us. These things have flourished while we have believed within our hearts that they were not true, right? So our lack of belief does not prevent these realities from existing. It does not make them not true. There was another quote that I shared recently, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it said. It said something like, truth does not require your belief or participation in order to exist, but bullshit does. All right. So what is actuality? What is going on is going to be happening whether or not we acknowledge it. But if we don't acknowledge it, we lose our power. All right. Some people will say it's a victim mentality to acknowledge these energies. All right. To acknowledge entities, to acknowledge these darker forces at work in this reality. It is not a victim mentality. We allow ourselves to be victimized when we don't take ownership and responsibility for what's happening, when we don't own it, when we don't look at it, when we don't acknowledge it, and then take the steps necessary to gain our sovereignty back. All right? Without awareness, there can be no growth. This is so incredibly important. Knowing and understanding that this darkness, for lack of a better term, because there's organic darkness, beautiful darkness, the balance to our light, right? The creational void, vortex energy. All right. And then there's this inorganic darkness. All right. This inorganic darkness flourishes when we don't acknowledge it. All right. And we allow ourselves to be victims when we won't bring it into our awareness, when we refuse to look at it. All right. And we are getting closer and closer to achieving ascension. All right. Perhaps the closest we've ever come, and we've done this many times. All right. This is not our first go round with this energy. We've come closer than ever before, and a deeper layer is being peeled back for us to witness, for us to bear witness to, and then transmute and alchemize. All right. We hold so much more light when we are willing to look at that which is not. All right. That which is not love. We're able to hold that much more love when we're able to witness that. Not in fear, but in sovereignty. All right. And then move beyond that. Transmute that. Alchemize that. It is so powerful. So incredibly powerful, this process. But we have to be willing to look first. We have to be willing to acknowledge and then take the steps necessary. We talked about this in a video in the live stream the other day. Or was it a live stream? Yeah, I think it was. This energy of like the ascension isn't something that's happening to us. It's something that we are bringing about through the actions that we take, through the clearing of these infringements, through the claiming of our power, our sovereignty, our light. All right? But we have to step up and we have to claim it. And we have to acknowledge what's there instead of sweeping it under the carpet. All right. We'll get more into all of this at a later date. I am being summoned, so I'm going to have to go in a second. But I want to get into this last concept here, these last couple concepts before I do. One of these is the separating of love and light. We hear this all the time, sending you love and light. All right. It's love light as one collective energy. When we separate them, when we separate love from anything, we give an opening for other energies to play. All right? We invite in. There are a lot of things that are of light that are not of love. Okay? So we want to be really careful. We never want to separate love and light. We want to combine those into one word. It is love light. All right? We don't want anyone sending us light. We want them sending us really love, honestly. Love. We don't want to separate the light from the love. Love is, I don't know, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. We're going to stick with this understanding of not separating the love and the light. All right? Keeping the love with everything. All right? When we separate the love and the light, we're also separating the masculine and the feminine. And that creates a whole lot of chaos on this planet. This was something that was explained to me by the Divine Mother in my practice aura session that I as I practiced as a practitioner. It was really, really beautiful. It was a really beautiful explanation by the Divine Mother of what happens when you separate love and light in that context, when you separate the masculine and the feminine. All right. We see the evidence of the separation of our masculine and feminine in the chaos in the world, in the way the masculine and feminine energies have been pitted against each other, in the ways that they're not able to unify, to blend, to merge and support each other harmoniously and symbiotically as they were meant to. We see that acted out in the world at large. All right, that's another danger of separating the love, of making it love and light as opposed to love light. We always want to be working with and sending and acknowledging love light. All right, never ever separating the two. The last thing that I want to discuss here is the message, and you're going to hear this from a lot of people. The light has already won. There is no more darkness on this planet. There are no more negatively polarized beings. They've all been eradicated. Take a look around you at what's going on in the world right now. Do you believe that we would still be having these senseless wars? Do you believe that children would still be being victimized? That these systems we're seeing them falling apart and breaking down, but we're also seeing them hold on for dear life. Do you believe that all of that would be happening if there were no more negatively polarized beings on this planet? If the darkness, for lack of a better term, had been eradicated? Absolutely not. This is a tactic that is used to get us to lower our shields, to lower our defenses. As my teacher, who I always recommend people check out her videos, if these topics are interesting to you, she gets so in-depth into all this stuff on her channel, Rising Phoenix Aurora. As she says, trying to get us to convince us to lay our shields down and lay our swords down. And it is not the time to do that. We are the closest we have ever been, but we ain't there yet. Okay? And like we said, ascension is not something that happens to us. It is something that happens as a result of us stepping into our sovereignty, of us doing the work, of us healing and alchemizing and transmuting. Okay? So it is imperative that we continue to do this. Yes, we have seen into many future timelines that do suggest that ascension is essentially guaranteed. All right? It is essentially guaranteed. We have seen it in many, many timelines moving forward. We have reached that critical mass on the earth, 51% in love light, in service to others, in this beautiful frequency, choosing the organic path. All right, choosing love in every single moment. However, that can change if we decide that we don't need to do any more work and we can just kick back and relax and wait for this beautiful wave of energy that's going to be our savior, right? That's gonna rescue us all. We are the boots on the ground. We are here to do the rescuing. We are here to rescue ourselves. We are fractals of source consciousness, of the ascended masters, of the archangels. All right? We are them here doing this work. They're not coming to save us. No spaceship is going to land and save us. All right? Be very, very wary of anyone who claims this is going to happen. Of anyone who claims anything or gives you any type of channeling or any type of teachings that take your power away, that cause you to give your power over to something or someone else, that cause you to wait for someone or something else to save you. We are here to do that ourselves. We are the incarnations of all of these beings that we would consider higher, but are actually our equals because they are us, right? Here doing this work right here, right now. All right, so stay strong, stay sovereign, keep moving forward. I'm going to keep bringing information to you guys, bringing you more tools that you can use to step even deeper into your sovereignty, into your love light, into your power. All right, and we're going to keep doing this thing just like we have been. I love you. I honor you. I appreciate you so incredibly much. Thank you so much for joining me. If you know somebody who would benefit from this video, please go ahead and share it with them. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this content. Drop a comment down below. If you are moved to donate, there are links to do so. I am putting together a wait list for my aura sessions, which I am going to be beginning sometime in probably the late summer, as well as raw Reiki entity removal sessions. The aura sessions are a quantum healing, soul regression, hypnosis technique that also includes entity removal, right? So you get the whole shebang with the aura. And everything else that I do. You will notice some of my offerings have been removed, and I will get more into that in later channelings, later videos, as I see fit to do. Everything that I'm currently offering is in alignment with my truth, with love light. So all of those different services, the astrology readings, the Bel Vespita, the tarot readings, all of that stuff is listed on my website. So go ahead, take a link, or take a link. Click the link to my website if you feel a resonance with my energy and you'd like to work with me one-on-one. I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to say right now, except you are beautiful. I am God. I am sovereign. I am free. This is one of my mantras that I say every single day. I am God. I am sovereign. I am free. And so are you. Remember that. Remember that. And question anything that does not align with that truth, that removes your sovereignty in any way. All right, feel into it. Feel into it, discern through the heart. All right, talk to you guys soon.